If you are looking for a quick, easy and free way to migrate your WordPress websites from one host to another host, maybe from one domain to a different domain, or if you're trying to just migrate from your local to your actual live server, then this is the exact video that you've been searching for your whole life, because I'm going to show you all of the details from start to finish and how you can do all of this without paying a penny, without a single paid premium plugin, and how you can do this for free, rinse and repeat as many times as you want without any problems. Okay, so to the task at hand, let's say as an example that we have our website that we want to get migrated over to a different domain name. So just a hypothetical situation here, and again, you can migrate for whatever reason you have, of course, as you know, but let's just say that I've got a client website on a subdomain of my personal website, and I'm ready to transfer this over to my client's website. So basically all we need to do to get a migration from one WordPress to a second WordPress domain or website is to create a backup. Now to do a backup, we're going to be using a plugin called Duplicator. And to do that, we of course need to get logged into our website. So if you have got a website that you want to migrate, so let's call that the Migratee, and we are going to be migrating that to a new domain name, the Migrator. So the Migratee website, this one needs to have the Duplicator plugin installed. So you can see I've already got Duplicator installed on the back end of this website. If you guys need it, you just need to go along to add new and search for Duplicator. You will see that it comes up right away because it's one of the most popular plugins. So if you do need to migrate anything, jump on this Duplicator one and I'll show you exactly what to do. So what we need to do with your Duplicator plugin now installed is we need to go ahead and create a backup. Now a backup is going to create two files. One is going to be an installer.php and another one is going to be all of your WordPress files and databases. So basically, don't need to worry about all of the complicated stuff here. Just follow along with me if you're migrating from one site to another. Select Create New. Doesn't matter about the name, just leave that blank as it is. Don't need to worry about anything else. We can see that we're going to have the backup zip and the installer. That is exactly what we want, but again, nothing to do. Select Next, and it's going to scan through the site. So once that scan is complete, you can see that everything is looking good here. Now, if you've got any problems, then of course you need to go away and resolve those. I don't think I've ever come across a problem at this point. So again, hopefully you've got a lot of green ticks there and you've got all of your goods. And once you are ready to do that, then you can select Build. Now, the building part, this is going to be compiling those two files that I mentioned. Like I said, we're going to get an installer.php file and all of the WordPress files in a zip file. What we actually have to do at that point is to upload that to our new server. So if you are uploading that to, if let's say you are hosting websites yourself all on the same hosting account, then of course you've not got to worry about changing any name servers or anything like that. So you can hop over to your hosting account. Now, for this example, I'm going to be using one of my Hostinger accounts. If you're interested to learn more about Hostinger, I have a website. I have a video on Hostinger and why I use Hostinger, and I'll tag that somewhere in the right hand corner of this screen right now. But for now, basically what we need to do is to set up this new website. So we can see this is being hosted on my hosting account here. So this is the client.travelcrush. This is the client.travelcrush. So we need to go away and create a new website. So let's say that you've purchased a new domain name now, or if you are doing this for a client and you're migrating a website from your local or from a subdomain or from anywhere for that matter to their domain name, then of course you're going to need to grab their name from their file, from their account. Now basically what we need to do is grab that URL, the new domain name that we're going to be uploading this to, and for this example I'm going to be using just an old URL that I've got, rwonline.co.uk. I'm just going to copy and paste that one. Now again, at this point, if we are doing all of the hosting from one Hostinger account. We not got to worry about changing any name servers, but I'll show you how you would do that anyway. And you'll see here, for this example, I'm using Namecheap. Now, again, you could be using GoDaddy. You could be using any of the 1,000,001 different domain name registrars out there. It makes no difference, just as long as you've got ownership of that domain name, whether you own it or your client does. That is all that is needed. So let's come along and create that new website now. So I'm going to select on Add Website from the Hostinger website list, and I'm going to create an empty website. Now, with an empty website, all we have to do is type in that domain name. So I'm going to just copy paste that RW online, and it's going to prompt us to say, do I own this domain? And I'm going to say yes. Now, again, even if you don't own this and this is owned by your client, that's still absolutely fine. You will just need to have access to their domain registrar account. So of course we're going to need to update the name servers for this URL, for this domain name. And again, we'll do that in due course. But for now, let's just get this all set up. That is fine. Let's go ahead and select next. And it's going to start initializing that setup. So that won't take long, but basically all we are interested in is grabbing the backup files from here now. I'm just going to check to make sure these have downloaded. Let's download both files. In fact, I don't think I did. So I'm going to select OK to allow to download multiple files, and we can see hopefully both of those files are now in the downloads folder. So we can see that's still downloading, but those are the two files that I'm interested in. I can see I've already got for some reason this is, well, I can see why. This is renamed this installer and then 1, and that is because I already have an installer here. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete that, so that I can rename this one installer 1. Now, you guys shouldn't have that problem, unless, of course, you have an existing installer.php file in your download. So if you do this regularly, you'll realize that you normally find you have a lot of installer.php files, just like I do. So that file is almost downloaded now, and all we need to do is upload that to our new website. So this is the account, so the dashboard of rwonline.co.uk. Now, what we need to do now that this is set up on our hosting account, now again, if you're doing this on a client's hosting account, then you need to access their hosting account and do this all through their account. If you're hosting it for them, then you can do this all from your own account. Of course, you just need to change how you do this depending on a few of the little nuances that are going to be independent to your own setup needs. But basically, we need to come along and upload those files now. So you can use any kind of FTP software. If you wanted to use something like FileZilla, which again I do have here. If you wanted to use FileZilla, you can. But for ease of purpose, I'm just going to jump into the file manager, and the file manager is just found underneath the main overview dashboard. So let's come up to here. FileZilla is probably asking for an update. Anyway, we are now logged into our FTP server. So we are now looking at the file structure of this hosting account. So basically, we want to come into the public.html. This is everything that is front facing, everything that is on the internet. Now, at the minute, we've only got this one file, default.php, and that is basically just, let's just go in to show you, online, if I can spell. No, I can't. And basically, that's just going to be a landing page saying from Hostinger. Okay, it may not load because I haven't changed any name servers yet, but that's fine. It's just basically a landing page just saying this website is currently under maintenance or being built or something. And we don't need that. Long story short, let's just go ahead and delete that. So I'm going to delete the default, and within your public.html folder, all we need to do is upload both of those files. So I'm going to drag those two files that we have. One is the installer and one is the zip. Just upload that. Now that is going to take a little bit of time depending on, one, your upload speeds, and two, the service that you have. So if you have a fast hosting account, then it will upload faster. It might just be a very large website, in which case it will take longer to upload. So just wait for that to upload. You can see that it's going there and it's telling you the data down there. But either way, let's come along and get things set up with our name servers. So again, we now have our website set up on our hosting account. One thing that we still need to do is to update the name servers of the domain. So from the domain registrar account, again, whether it's yours or somebody else's, just come over to the domain name that you want to have set up with that website. So we can see RW Online is on the hosting account, and we have RW Online as the domain name. Let's just come along to manage, and all we need to do is to update the name servers. Now again, this process will change if you're using a different service. If you're editing this from, say, something like GoDaddy, just you need to edit the DNS. So these are all just DNS settings, so domain name settings. So we can see under this Namecheap account, we can just change this under name servers. So let's go ahead and change this to custom DNS. And we're prompted to update those. So we've got 2 by default. We can, of course, add a 3rd and a 4th, depending on your hosting account and how many name servers they suggest that you add. So let's grab the name server addresses that we need from here. And this is underneath our hosting plan. So let's come along to our plan details. So we can see that the hosting name servers are these. So I'm going to just copy the first one. I'm going to come back to our domain registrar and paste. Do the same with the second one. Let's copy that like so, Command and C, and paste that in as well. Now, once we are happy that those name servers are correct, hit save, and that is going to go through a period of propagation. Now, propagation is basically just where the whole World Wide Web, the whole internet, is just basically updating that address, because basically what we've just done there is we've said, look, hey internet, this domain name, we want you to go and fetch all of the website files from this server. And that is basically what the name servers do. It's basically like having a postal address. It's like saying, hey, we want to send post to this person, but we need this address to do that. And that is basically what we have just done. So before we can actually move on with actually running that installer.php file, because now we can see that those files have been uploaded. Well, they have, at least for me anyway. And we can see that, you know, this is just the root directory. So anything that comes after the root domain name, so in this case rwonline.co.uk, anything in this folder after a / installer.php is going to run this file, and that is exactly what we want to do, because that's going to basically initialize the running of Duplicator and upload and set up the database and files that is within that zip file that is the second file we uploaded. So let's go ahead and type in our address here. Now, I'll be very surprised if this works, because this is still under propagation. As you know, the DNS settings are still being configured, and they're updating those A records, the IP addresses, so that the internet knows where to find the files of our website when they visit a domain name. So let's just do this anyway. Installer.php. Can't spell. Installer.php. Fingers crossed. And it's not working. So that's absolutely fine. That is not a problem. That I wanted to leave this in place anyway, because I know some people will be alarmed the fact that their website isn't working. And basically, we just need to give that time. So there are things that we can do in the meantime. So let's come back to our, what do we need to do? That's right. Come back to our website here, to your website that you've just created, that we're still waiting to be propagated. What we need to do to set up the duplicator is we need to set up an empty database and a admin database user. So those are necessities for every WordPress website. Hopefully you know that, because WordPress runs off of PHP databases. And to do that within a hosting account, all we need to do is come down to databases and then PHP My Admin. Not PHP My Admin, we need to come to management, sorry. So from here, sorry, I've got a stuffy nose. I'm suffering with a cold at the minute, so if I sound a bit croaky, that is why. We've got a prompt here to create a new database and database user. Green tick, that is exactly what we want. Now, it makes no difference what you name this and what you name the username. And unless your client wants it, unless you particularly need it in future, but you'll always have the data saved within your hosting account anyway. So it's not like something you need to remember, because as you can see, they are often quite obscure. So let's go ahead and give this a database name of RW Online. I like to name it the website, and the MySQL username RW Online. So we need to give that that user a password. I'm just going to type in a password, and I'm going to select create. So once we have that database created with a new user, we can then use this data here, which is the database, the MySQL user, and the user password, which we will need to actually initiate that duplicator. So let's give this another go. Fingers crossed, still not working. So yours might be working at this point, mine isn't. I'm just going to come back once this has been propagated. Okay, so after about 5 minutes hanging around, this has finally initiated. So again, just go to your domain name /installer.php. If for whatever reason this file is named differently, so in my case before, if you remember, it was in installer1.php, just make sure that you write that exactly as it reads when you're actually trying to set this up. So really, really important that. So with that all spelled out correctly and your propagation all completed, it's going to take you to this duplicator page. So again, this is now on our new domain name. So let's just go through this quickly. Very, very straightforward now that we've already created the database and user for this. So the action is going to be an empty database. Host, localhost is absolutely fine. You can name that whatever you like, makes no difference. Database here. Now this is where we need to go and fetch the data that we created earlier. So that's going to be this database, the RW Online one. Going to press Command and C. Going to come along to Duplicator again, paste that in. Next up is the user and the password. So again, let's just grab that user just there. And again, we'll just copy in the password that we created at the time of creation, like so. So with that done, let's go ahead and select validate. It's just going to make a few final checks and then we can complete the installation. So again, all of these has passed. Sometimes this might come up with a warning, maybe a PHP misconfiguration or something. Don't worry about that. I've never had any problems unless there is something serious like a fail or red. But if you're getting something like a PHP config mismatch where it's just running on a different PHP version, don't worry about that. It is not going to break your website, although you'll have to complete some checks once it's up, once it's all been migrated anyway. So when you're all happy, let's go ahead, check that box and select next. Let's hit OK. And this is now extracting that zip file. So again, depending on the size of the website that you're migrating, if it's a huge website with gigabytes and gigabytes of images and everything else, it's going to take longer. But for this one, this is just a dummy website, and we can see that this was all good. So what we want to do now, very, very important, make sure that this box up here is checked, because we do want to auto delete the installer file that we've currently got sitting in the root directory of our website. So where is it? Just here. So I can close it off now. We don't need that. We don't need that. We don't need that. Because basically what that will do is that will pose a security risk if you do not. So other people can get access to your website if you leave that in place. So auto delete that always, and then go to the admin login. Now I'm just going to go through my login here. Same username and password as it was before for the other site. All of those details are transferred over. And fingers crossed, it has all been completed. So now we've got the exact same website that we had on one previous website, and is now sitting on a new domain exactly as it was before. Now, of course, there are going to be a few checks. You'll need to go away if you're using stuff like Elementor. Let me just quickly log in here. If you're using things like Elementor, you need to just change or update your license key, because again, here we go, license key mismatch. Again, you might need to change some things under your settings just to make sure that the admin email address and all of that stuff is correct. And once that is done, that is basically ready to go. So that is exactly how we can migrate one website to another. It doesn't matter whether we're migrating from local, whether we're migrating from one domain, whether we're migrating from a completely different server to a different server. This is the exact same process that I do and have been doing for the past 15 years now as an experienced WordPress freelance developer, and now you can do exactly the same too. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to give this a subscribe and a thumbs up. And if you have any kind of video suggestions or what you'd like to see me produce next, then make sure you leave a comment in the comments below.